Alright guys, so day 5, solving absolute value inequalities, okay? So before, when we're doing equalities, there is a shortcut. And the shortcut also works with inequalities. And if and only if the coefficient of x is 1, okay? So this one doesn't have a coefficient of 1. So I'm not going to do the shortcut. I'm actually going to show the steps, but then I'm going to compare and contrast what these inequalities versus just a regular equation look like as far as answers are concerned. And we're going to do the next one for bonus points. There's a couple more that I'm going to give you after this. Okay? So first of all, what do I do regularly if I'm solving this out? What did we learn last time to solve for x? What do I do? I'm going to what? We're going to isolate the absolute value, which it already is isolated. And what do I do from there? Set up two equations. And the two equations that I'm going to set up, one's going to be 2x minus 1 is equal to 5. And then the other one's going to be 2x minus 1 is equal to negative 5. And then, what do I do from there? Anyone? You just solve it out, right? So add 1, we get 6, which is 3, because you're going to divide by 2. Add 1, we get negative 4, which is negative 2. What did we do last time that is very important that we need to do still? Check our answers. So we're going to check our answers. So let's plug in this 3 right here. I get what? 6, right? 6 minus 1 is 5. Absolute value of that is 5. That one worked out. Let's plug in negative 2. What do I get? Negative 4 minus 1 is? Negative 5. Absolute value is 5. So those work. Okay? So with that being said, what is it that I'm going to now do is, it's not drawn with a number line. You do not have to do this, but your answers would be at negative 2 and at 3, and they would just be dots. But you don't have to do that with inequality, with regular equations. You do have to do that with inequalities, which are over here. Okay? So here we go. The same thing is going to happen. We're going to break this up into two equations. And the first one is exactly what you see. And the other one is the negative form of what you see. So what do? It'd be greater than negative 5. Perfect. Because it's going to be greater than negative 5 because you flip the inequality when you're multiplying by a negative. Okay? And then solve it from here. So I have 2x, add the 1, will give me less than 6. 2x, add the 1 is greater than negative 4. So that x is less than 3 and x is greater than negative 2. So if I graph that here, I have negative 2 is here. I have 3 is over here. And things that are less than 3 are going to go that way. And things that are greater than negative 2 are going to go that way. So my answer is going to be this. Yes or no? Good. Nice. So catching that, they have to be open because these are not equal to. Okay? So what I would do is quickly just make those open dots, and it's everything that's in between that you're actually shading. Okay? Questions? So this is called a conjunction. The conjunction is the stuff in between two boundaries, like two endpoints. They can be closed or open. Over here, everything's going to be the same. Everything. as far as 3 and negative 2, but the difference here that you're going to get is with this inequality because it started different. Okay? So let's go ahead and break it up. We have 2x minus 1, 2x minus 1. First one is what you see, and the other one's the negative flip. And again, you flip the inequality because you multiply by a negative. Okay? So if I add 1, I'll get 2x is greater than 6, so x is greater than 3. If I add 1, 2x is less than negative 4, so x is less than negative 2. So the difference here is at negative 2, again, which is open, I'm going to shade everything that is less than that. So I'm shading that way. Okay? And I do not include negative 2. And then the other one is going to be x's that are greater than 3. So I'm going to shade everything that is greater than that, and that's open at negative 3. Bless you. Questions? So this is called a disjunction. A disjunction, dis meaning almost like not, a junction. A junction to me is when two like, for instance, I picture like a junction like railroad tracks meeting at the same spot. So these kind of meet together. So that's what a conjunction is. And a disjunction is, it's like disconnected. They don't meet. They're going opposite directions. Okay? So you have 3 different answers that you could have. You could have, and these again could be closed or open. It depends on the sign or the inequality sign. A conjunction, a disjunction, or just straight up equalities. Any questions? So here's your a way to remember it. This set of answers is going to be less than 5. So to me, the way I see this is that the jump is 5. So wherever the center is, in here, it feels like the jump is 5 away from the center. And if it's less than 5, that means it's going to be within 5. It's like reaching out 5 feet to the left and to the right. And it's going to be less than. But if it's greater than, it's like out of your reach. Let's say that your arms are 5 feet long. And if it's greater than 5, that means it's going to be out of your reach. So you can imagine like someone here as the center. And again, this jump is 5. So this would be 5 and then 5 to the left. So a total of like 10 feet that you're kind of like looking at is the interpretation that I'm saying. My point is, I want you to see a disjunction as early as this, and a conjunction as early as this, and an equality right here, without having to solve all the way through. Okay? Alright, so let me give you an equation that looks like, let's say, this. Okay, let's talk through this together and then we'll do the next ones for bonus points. What should I do? Make sure x is what? I can't hear you say it.
X is by itself.
Okay, so we're going to solve for x. So solving for x, what do I do? Right. So it's already by itself. So now I'm going to break this up into 2 equations. Anyone what goes here? What you see, right? So greater than or equal to negative 5. And what goes on the other one? Less than or equal to 5. Because it's the negative version of that. So the negative flip. Okay, so now adding 5, I'll get this. Adding 5, I get this. That means at 0, because of it being equal to, we're going to close it. And because at 10, it's equal to, we're going to close it. And it's everything to the left of 10, but bigger than 0. But this answer is wrong. For 50 points, you can tell me why. What's the real answer? It's not undefined. Do what? Why do you say that? If you can tell me why, I'll give you the 50. It is all real numbers, but why? Why is it all real numbers?
Because it's the absolute value, and it's always going to be positive. Positive is always greater than negative.
Absolute value will always be positive. And positive will always be greater than or equal to a negative.
What else team 1 got all those points?
Because they're talking. Okay. So as far as the answers are concerned, what if I had something that looked like that? So this one was all real numbers, just like Lucas said, because all positives, which is the absolute value, will always be greater than or equal to, well, sorry, this one has to be greater than strictly. It cannot be equal to. So my mistake on that. This would have to be just strictly a greater than sign on this one. Okay? And this would be for all real numbers. What's the answer, anyone, for this one?
Oh, no solution.
No solution.
Because it's positive and negative.
Because
That's 50 points you right now.
Any questions before we go on to the bonus points that we're going to do in groups? Okay, so let me go ahead and give you your first bonus point question. Alright, so this one is your problem. I want you to solve correct, so I want you to check it. I want you to graph it. There's a lot of points up for grabs for all the work. We'll come back to it here in just a bit. You have 3 minutes. Okay. Alright, so this is the work that I'm expecting quiz or test to like. It's already isolated, so you would start off by doing this. Okay? For the problem that we just did before, this is not a negative, so I know it's not going to be all real numbers, kind of that thing that we experienced just now. So I'm going to break it down. It's what I see, and it's the negative flip of what I see. And now subtracting 4 to get 2, subtracting 4 to get a negative 10, and then dividing by 2. So x is greater than or equal to 1. Can you tell me, anyone, why didn't I flip the inequality here if this was a negative? I didn't divide by a negative or multiply by a negative. Okay? If you do that, that's a common error. A lot of people, even those that are way up here, sometimes make a mistake on. It's only if this is negative or positive as you're dividing. Sorry, negative as you're dividing. So, this is going to be less than or equal to negative 5, greater than or equal to a positive 1, and they look like that, and this, and it is a conjunction. Don't write it now. If you didn't write it, don't give yourself points, please. Oh, my bad. Disjunction. My bad. Okay, now we got participation. I just need to make mistakes. Alright, so disjunction. This is a disjunction, and also part of the answer is to check. So there are 3 intervals pretty much here, here, and here that we can check. We can check like with a negative 6, with a 2, and with a 0. So if I plugged in 0, I'd get 0 plus 4 is 4. Absolute value of 4 is 4. Is 4 greater than or equal to 6? No, that's why it's not shaded. Okay? But these do work whenever I plug them in. Okay? For the sake of points, I'm not going to go for the plugins on these, but I will go for everything that I circle in green is 10 points. So here's 10 points. This is 10 points. This is 20 points because I want to make sure that you remember to do the negative flip. this is another 10, this is another 10, and each piece here will be 10. And if you label the disjunction 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect.